All right, fire them up!
At some point, we're going to have to discuss why Hollywood keeps giving roles to Miles Teller. That's a whole separate video. We'll get to that another time. Outside of 2014's Whiplash, I have yet to see Miles Teller in a role that I didn't immediately forget. So with that in mind, I'm pretty sure you can imagine my surprise when I was recommended to watch the film, The Gorge. And although he's playing opposite somebody who I generally like in their roles, Anya Taylor-Joy, I was really expecting to not like this movie at all. So The Gorge is an Apple TV Plus original film. It stars Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy as opposing snipers. Now, each of them are tasked with manning these massive fortified structures on opposite sides of this gorge. And their job is to not keep people out, is to keep whatever is at the bottom of these gorge in. Now, hearing all that, you might expect this film to be something of an action thriller. And it kind of is. But at the same time, it really isn't. See, this whole film is a gigantic genre blender type of deal. You have action, thriller, historical drama, monster flick, body horror, it's a romance, and that romance is what is really at the core of what this film actually is. And honestly, although I'm somebody who don't particularly like Miles Teller, I got to give credit where credit is due. The chemistry between him and Anya Taylor-Joy is actually really good. And that romance is what is at the core of this film and what makes the film likable. But you see, the devils are in the details. And those details is what really makes this film make or break for me. Now, the things at the bottom of the gorge, which are called the Hollow Men, which is taken from the T.S. Eliot poem, which they actually go through a very good explanation in the film. We get to see them early on in the film, and they are pretty terrifying to see them. But the problem is we got to see them very early, and it takes away the suspense of everything that we should have gotten slightly later on in the film. And while I do really like the design of the Hollow Men and these mutated animals and creatures that are down at the bottom of the gorge with them, it's the fact of the matter we saw them so early, you don't really get any more suspense after you see them the first time. You know they're going to be terrifying. You understand what they're going to be. And by the time they work their way around to telling us where these things come from and why they're down there in the first place, you kind of just don't care. The action of the film, which is very spread out, it kind of just falls to the wayside. Like I said, at the core of the film is the romance, and you get hooked into that for 30 to 45 minutes at the beginning of a 2-hour movie. And that's pretty much all you care about. You worry, are these two going to stay together? Are they going to live? But you still kind of don't care about that either, because it turns into an action film right when they start to get close. And that action basically veers you off course, and you just stop caring about their relationship altogether. Now, I do have to admit, I was very close to saying that I liked Miles Teller's performance in this film. But by the time the movie was over and I watched it again to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing, I stopped liking his character probably about halfway through the film. I didn't want his character to die. I'm not a vicious, evil person. But honestly, everything that's good about his character is actually pulled out of him, and it's made manifest by Anya Taylor-Joy's performance. She does a really good job of making you care about her character from start to finish. And I think that's kind of a writer's thing where they gave her so much more to go on. You understand her motivations, her pain. You root for her because she goes through so much at the beginning of the film, even if it's very brief that we see. You really don't get that from Miles Teller. And I'm not putting it on him because he didn't write the movie, but at the same time, he's an executive producer. You know, if you're going to be in Hollywood at this point, you should know your character should have something in it to make people care about it. And they didn't go through giving us anything to care about his character, in my opinion, enough. So by the time the film comes to its conclusion, then yes, it's a happy ending because, like I said, romance movie more than anything else. I don't particularly care that he gets the happy ending. I care that Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Drasa, gets the happy ending. If it just so happens that he's part of it, oh well. And my biggest problem with his character, which goes to his acting job, is not the fact that we don't get enough to chew on to care about his character. Is that in the long run, if you really pay attention to the narrative, how he winds up at the bottom of this gorge is completely idiotic. Now, we're supposed to believe that Drasa, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, and his character, Levi Kane, are these world-class snipers that not only worked for opposite governments against each other and against other opposing armies over a course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but they have worked for as mercenaries for private contractors in different war fronts all around the world, both of them. But they wind up at the bottom of the gorge because he dared to defy orders and go across the gorge on a zip line just so he can sleep with her. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was out on that lonely place by myself and the only contact I had was Anya Taylor-Joy, I'd probably try to cross a gorge full of monsters too just to get to her. But I digress. Hella's character is American. Taylor-Joy's character is Lithuanian born, but she's been trained by the KGB, by the Russian government. If you're telling me this is modern times, this is after everything after World War II, all the way up through the Cold War, up until modern day, if they're trained by these two sides, honestly, if we are to believe these characters are world-class trained snipers, they would have not broken ranks. It doesn't matter what went down. Yes, they are stuck in these towers guarding opposite sides of the gorge for a full year, full 365 days, and they're alone on each side. But still, these two, if we are to believe that they are who they say they are, they would not have broke ranks and crossed the gorge, either one of them. So the fact that that happened, the fact that that's the motivation that gets them to the bottom of the gorge instead of something else, I'm sorry, I just lose interest in the characters because it's just not believable. Now, even with all that, I can still tell you honestly from the bottom of my heart, it is an enjoyable movie. This is one of those movies where you just cut your brain off. Don't look at it with a critical eye. Just enjoy what's in front of you. It's 2 hours. Just have fun with it. Eat a little popcorn and chill. Honestly, if they released this in theaters instead of it being on Apple TV Plus, I'm pretty sure they would have made a decent amount of money, especially with what's going on in theaters. But looking at it, this movie has no replay value. I watched it twice so I can give you an honest review of it, but I will probably never watch this movie again. If somebody's going to watch it, I'll tell them, I'll give them an honest opinion. Hey, watch it. Just don't try to make sense of a lot of things, because outside of what I've talked about today, there are going to be a lot of plot holes that you can nitpick and point out as this movie goes along. But still, cut your brain off. 2 hours. You'll enjoy the movie just fine. All in all, the movie is pretty much like every movie Miles Teller has been in. It's a 6. It's very middle of the road, very middling, just like his acting ability. That's just how I feel about it, and I don't want anybody to come for me in the comments, but if you do, no problem. We can talk about it. But that's how I feel about The Gorge. What did you think if you saw it? And if you haven't seen it, now that you've heard me talk about it, are you actually going to watch it? Don't forget to follow us on the Instagram page and follow right here. Subscribe and share and do all those things for the algorithm. And I will catch you in the next video. God bless. I love you and peace. See you next time.